and welcome to Forced Peaks. I'm Mars, and I'm being forced to watch Twin Peaks.
And I'm Deyd, and I'm being forced to make a podcast.
We did it. We nailed it.
We fucking nailed it. God, we're so good at this.
Oh, I didn't hit record. No, I'm just kidding.
I would throttle you.
I don't think that people know what that means. It never sounds
Throttle means like
it never sounds like you're gonna punch somebody.
No, it's not. That's not throttling. Throttling is like when you like grab someone by the neck, you know.
Oh, that's what that means. I always thought it was like
like strangling them.
I always thought it was like a sexual thing until somebody. I thought it was punching.
It was punching.
Yeah, you're like reeling back. This is not the podcast. All right, hi, welcome to our Twin Peaks podcast that we're now starting.
So I know that you're sitting there in your little Star Trek T-shirt,
with your
dribbling on yourself,
Star Trek propeller hat on.
Yeah, you're just drooling all over your table, being like, "Wait a minute, this isn't Star Trek. What the heck?"
And if you're not thinking that because you're just listening to our podcast for the first time, we used to do we still do, but
we still do.
We do a Star Trek podcast, but this is not a Star Trek podcast.
We decided to expand horizons a bit, aka I really wanted to watch Twin Peaks, and I was convinced Mars to also want to watch Twin Peaks, and we decided the best way to do it, because we're not normal, we have to make a podcast somehow, is by doing it this way.
Well, how else are we going to have this conversation if we're not sitting in a meeting room from the show with a little slice of pie and some coffee cups and,
with all of our little characters dressed up?
Yeah, listen, I'm cosplaying Agent D-Cooter.
D-Coot.
Agent D-Coot.
Dale Coot.
Dale Coot. That's what the D stands for, is Dale.
My name doesn't really work with that. Peaky Nadine.
Yeah, but your shirt kind of works with your whole branding.
True. But yeah, welcome. I'm very excited for this because I live in Washington, so Twin Peaks kind of has a place near and dear to my heart a little bit, and also I just fucking love the show. It's so not what you expect, and I kind of just want to jump into it. I already have some stuff I want to ask you, Mars.
Yeah, well, let me say first. Can I preference how this started? Because I think it's kind of funny. Before we get into it, I just want to say this is so funny. Okay, so literally like 2 days ago, I was hanging out with Deyd. It was late, and we had just finished playing like a video game or something. And we were bored, and Deyd was like, "Oh man, I kind of want to watch Twin Peaks," And we had talked about doing a podcast, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? I don't know if we'll actually do a podcast. Let's just watch an episode and just like for the fun of it." and then I found out it was like a 2-hour episode, and it was like 1 a.m. when we were watching it, and I was like, I don't know if I have time for like an hour and a half episode or whatever, hour 40 minutes. I don't know. And then it was like, I'll go halfway, and then we started watching it, and then what I thought was the halfway point, I was like, okay, Deyd, how much do we have left? Because we might want to stop here. And there was 10 minutes left in the episode.
I had known when we hit the halfway mark, but I just let it roll because Mars didn't say anything, and I was thoroughly enjoying it.
I had no clue that we were 10 minutes, like that it had already been basically 2 hours. But
and she was like, you know what? I think I might want to watch this show.
Yeah, it was really good. All right, now we can get into it. Yeah, I just think it's funny that like from start to finish, this idea has taken about 2 days.
Yeah, everything you see here, the intro, the outro, all the assets and stuff has been a collaboration between us of like a quick 2 days because we're freaking geniuses.
Because we had it down, our format down from Force Trek, and now we were able to implement it beautifully here in this wonderful office, which you will see grow and change as the show goes on.
Anyways,
much like us.
Let's get into it. So I have some first couple of questions to you, which is first off, how much of David Lynch's stuff have you seen? How much Lynch content do you know?
Okay, so the only thing this is going to be funny. I may have seen something by him and just not known it was a David Lynch thing, but the only thing that I know for sure that I've seen that was a David Lynch thing, like all the way through, is the one thing that was on like Netflix, and it's just him talking to a monkey in a dark room. So that's like all I have for David Lynch is him having like a really heated conversation with a monkey.
What's the other thing with the phone?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the other thing is I've seen the clips of him bitching about people watching his movies on cell phones, and that's like all I for a long time. That was I thought he was just always angry. So every time I
Every
did
time Mars would
it,
do an impression of David Lynch, it was always their fucking phone.
he would always be like swearing a ton.
Yeah, whenever she would do David Lynch, it would be like all these fucking clouds in this fucking sky. And it was like always that. It was like it's so funny because that was her only frame of reference.
Make a fucking podcast with a fucking raccoon. It's
Okay,
ridiculous.
so you're a little inexperienced on it.
I'm about as fresh on Lynch as you can get.
Personally, I've seen a bunch of his movies. It was after actually watching Twin Peaks, but I actually remember watching Mulholland Drive as a child and searching for that movie for like most of my life because I was so confused by what I had saw it as a child. And it's a really crazy fucking movie
You know what's weird?
to watch as a child.
So I guess I have seen some of that because I watched about 10 minutes of it over someone's shoulder and I went, don't get it. And then I left.
Oh yeah, no, I watched most of it as a kid, and I was like, I have no fucking idea what's happening. Even rewatching it as an adult, um, I still don't quite know it, but that's the fun of it, is that it's all so weird, and you get what you want out of it from yourself
Mm-hmm.
in a way. But on to my next question, which is, what did you think Twin Peaks was like?
Okay, so like, you like Twin Peaks is one of those things you can't avoid through it's like you have to see stuff from it through cultural osmosis. But like I had kind of picked up that it was like this show where like there's like an FBI agent and he knows more than he's letting on. Like I thought Dale Cooper was the guy who knew everything and not the guy who's coming in to figure stuff out and like be like the surrogate for the audience, you know? So I'm like thinking like, okay, this is gonna be like a murder mystery show and it's gonna be really dramatic and like all the characters are gonna be like at odds with each other and there's gonna be like maybe one or two weird characters. And then like Dale Cooper is gonna be the one who understands the mystery, but you have to like watch him to figure out what he knows. But no, in the fucking first episode, he instantly tells you everything he's thinking at all moments.
I personally thought going into it, which by the way, I think you pretty much nailed what I kind of thought too. I thought it was going to be like really dry and surreal stuff,
Yeah.
but no, it's a really fucking goofy ass show, and that's always the thing that I love surprising people with about it is like showing clips from it, and they're like, "This is by David Lynch," or like David Lynch worked on this.
Yeah, do you want to start digging through the plot? We can
Absolutely,
start breaking down all those funny moments.
I already have some notes. So usually Mars is the one with the notes, but I get to keep them now.
It's so freeing.
And, it's very exciting because I love looking at these notes already. First off, what I wrote down is best opening ever, which I still agree with that. It's such a mood setter. It's just a shot of a bird, some sawmills, and like I think it's like the shot of Twin Peaks sign with the logo and shit.
It's very utilitarian, but it like helps you understand the setting really well. Like it's like all these visuals that you can kind of marinate on as you think about the town, you know? It's really good.
It's only like environmental shots, but it sets up the atmosphere so incredibly well for some reason.
Especially the sawmill stuff because it's just I think David Lynch really I can just imagine because he likes making furniture and like woodworking and stuff. I just imagine him like seeing that like wood getting carved and turned into stuff and he's just like that's pretty relaxing. Let me put that in my movie.
Well, it's not also just him too.
I keep attributing. Yeah.
Mark Frost also worked on this. He was also the co-creator. Funny enough, if I remember right, they weren't even considering Washington originally when they were first doing this. Yeah, they want to do like I don't know, like Arizona or California or something.
I was gonna jokingly say like Albuquerque, New Mexico, but Arizona's not that far off.
I forget if that's totally 100% true. I think it was more like North Dakota. They still want like something woodsy and small, but I don't think Washington was like the first choice.
And it's so funny because it's like so tied in with the show. Like you think about it, and it's like all you can see are those trees.
Exactly. And on to the next note, which this is a very minor thing, but for David Lynch heads or whatever, or Twin Peak fans, or the guy from Racerhead, the main actor, I don't know his name right now. He's like the first character you see in Twin Peaks. He plays a weird old man, and it's really funny because it took me the entire show to realize that's the same guy from Racerhead.
Yes.
But that's a fun little tidbit for people. The next note is they are so unserious in this town. People like you find out someone dies and they have the goofiest reactions possible. I'm so curious because to you it's kind of probably like a serious start with like finding a dead body, and then how did you feel about like watching everyone's reaction to that?
Well, because okay, so like I really liked the start of the show, and I really like the writing. It's so tight. It's like it opens and it's like, you know, you go through the sequences, you like meet that family too, that they like it's kind of like a palette. It's like a ginger for your palate first. You see the old man leaving for the morning to go fishing, and he's kind of got all these weird dynamics, and then he walks outside. He's got like the little fishing pole, and you can see something off to the side that he doesn't see yet, and it's like kind of ominous. And then he catches it, and then there's like this. Everything just gets super dour. Like it was already kind of melancholy, but it gets like goes down, and then the cops show up and start like doing their thing, and then you like everyone's having these really realistic reactions, and then there's the one guy who just can't stop crying when he's trying to take the picture, and it's like
Andy.
Yeah, Andy, and it's like hilarious. Like it's like actually a funny moment happening at something that's really horrific.
Well, not even just that too. Right before that, the old man calls the police department, and we get to meet one of the best characters, which is Lucy. Lucy tells Harry like, I'm sending the line over to the phone in the corner. It's on the table with the face on it. It's not the black one. It's the other one that's right next to it in the corner. It's the one right next to the face. And like Harry's just like staring at him, and like we know that someone just died, and this is like a big serious thing. And now it just hard cuts from a super melancholy scene to Lucy just acting as goofy as fucking possible.
Yeah, and like too, she's got that classic I don't want to say ditzy because that's like kind of dismissive, but she's got that.
No, she's definitely ditzy.
She's got that sound to her.
It's half the cast are cartoon characters. Half the cast is just like normal small town people you meet, which is just the best combination ever.
Yeah, dude. Everybody in the show is like, these like, I don't know, like they can all flip on a dime from being like they all have goofy attributes, but they also have serious attributes, and they're like this constant flipping throughout the whole episode is like it's like jarring, but it feels weirdly realistic because it's like, oh, here's this scene that's full of tragedy, but then like somebody trips or something funny like something real happens, then it's just you don't get to sit with the drama like how you're supposed to in a story, and I like that. You know,
it's so flip-flop about the tone, and that's what I love about it is even during this really intense scene, like on one hand you get the shot of Donna in the school. Pretty sure her name is Donna. I kind of always forget her name, but Donna finds out, like she pieces it together that Laura isn't coming back because the cops like talk to the teacher, and there's like a kid like crying out, and Laura isn't there today, and she quickly figures it out, and she like starts openly weeping in like a really really sad dramatic way, and it's like, oh man, like she's already figured it out. And then it cuts over to James and he's holding a pencil and snaps it in the most dramatic way I've ever seen in a TV show, and it's just like it's amazing how it can just flip on a dime of like, wow, this is so sad, and then there's James.
And that's the thing too, like the cat. Like, okay, so I don't know how you want to break down like the plot wise stuff. Like, I don't know if you want to recap it. Like,
I don't think we should recap plot stuff because we didn't do that on Force Track. Oh wait, did we? We did do that.
I typically would like read it in an order to keep us on track, but I'm okay with vamping.
This is hard to to recap. I totally forgot we did that for Star Trek. Well, it's kind of hard because Um, Star Trek has like a thing for that episode,
Yeah.
and this is just kind of an ongoing thing with just random cut-arounds. Like, there's no theme for each episode. Really, all you have to know about this episode, and this is probably the longest plot recap I'll probably give, is Laura Palmer is found dead. She's like a teenage sweetheart in the town, and a lot of people are really sad about it. And Agent Dale Cooper is called in because it links to a mystery he knows, and he's finding out a bunch of secrets about Twin Peaks, and we're seeing a bunch of their lives.
And it's this, but
That's
it's
pretty
like,
much it.
I think the pitch of it too is so like because like I like how the show brings you in on these characters. It's like you kind of get the idea, because that's the thing too. The show's like, its whole thing is show don't tell for a lot of the things that they do. I mean, they do tell you some stuff directly, but mostly that's when Dale Cooper's in the room, and he's just like straight up telling other characters what his motivations are. I kind of like that he's always straightforward with the because he comes in the middle of the episode, but I like that he's always straightforward with the cop that he's working with.
And that's another note we'll get to when we get along to it. I don't want to jump ahead too far.
For sure. But going back to what I was saying is like all the characters are so well established as like being this really like almost perfect idyllic kind of lifestyle they all lead. Like they all have their sort of roles in the town, and they all kind of fit these archetypes and niches, and so you kind of expect certain things out of them, but then like as the episode progresses you start to see like the cracks in the facade, and that they're not who they say they are, and that they act different around different people, and it's like oh, who else is lying, and you get like, I don't know, it's like so good. Like even in that first moment where you're like seeing like the cops finding the body, and the cops are like trying to like keep it together for this, and then you just find out like, oh, one of them is like a really sensitive guy, like he comes off like he's the cop that's coming in to take the photos and be all serious, but then he just starts weeping 2 seconds in, and like I don't know, I'm like kind of low-key obsessed with all the characters now, and I guess that's what the show is about, huh?
That's an amazing thing about the show is it's a huge cast. It's a really big cast, and it's a long episode that they drop on you introducing all of them.
And
but
it doesn't
the thing
feel
I've always
forced.
loved about it is that there's so many characters, but they're also different. You don't get like any of them mixed up in your mind, which is hard to do. But there's a specific thing you said about that, which is the double lives. And that's a big theme in David Lynch's works, especially his previous movie, Blue Velvet, which Kyle MacLachlan, who plays Agent Dale Cooper, is the main lead in that one too. And that one is almost entirely about that concept of like 50s suburban homes and people's double lives that they live when they're not pretending to be friendly. And so Twin Peaks is kind of seen as an even more dissection of that.
And it's like so captivating in that first episode, because like, to compare this to the other podcast, to the Star Trek one, that first episode of Star Trek is hard to watch. Star Trek: The Next Generation does not have an easy start.
It is so boring.
None of the characters act like themselves until like later in season 1, maybe even season 2 is when they really start solidifying who those characters are. But then you come into this show and you have like,
which is ironic because season 2 for Twin Peaks is known as not being nearly as good as season 1.
Which, see, that's funny, because it's like Star Trek has that curse of like it takes a few seasons for them to kind of get the show going, and then it gets good, and that's like a thing that happens with all the shows. But then what's like Twin Peaks, it's like this well-written movie at the start, like especially like the way that it kind of like drops you in with different characters at different moments, and it's sort of telling this little section of a story, because like not too long after you like the kids in the high school are told like, hey, your friend Laura is dead, like it comes over the speakers, right? Or no, just before that, the
cop comes in and tells the teacher. And then also there's a girl outside. She's like screaming because she probably figured it out.
Yeah, but you don't even know
across the campus.
You don't even know that she knows or not. Like it's just ominous, And but then also there's the thing with Bobby, right? You have like everybody starts talking to each other, and they're like, well, Laura was last seen with Bobby. Where's Bobby? And they're trying to track this kid down. And then you finally get to see what he's doing. and he's hanging out with some girl, and he's gonna like, try to get like score or something with her. And then there's like this whole thing about like
high school kid,
high school kid.
by the way, or dating. I'm pretty sure they're like there's a big age difference between them.
Oh, is there? I didn't even pick up on that.
Kinda like she's probably like 20 something, and
oh really?
He's probably like 18 or so.
Oh really? I didn't even know. I'm sure that'll come up.
She doesn't go to the school. She's living with her boyfriend.
That's her boyfriend. Okay, I see what's going on. See, I did not get that. I thought it was her dad. And he was okay. So the character, because
the dude is so young.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was the trucker. So okay, because there's a whole sequence where there's like this where Bobby is driving her home so they can like get busy, and then he sees the pickup truck parked outside, and he literally like throws it in reverse, freaks out or not the pickup truck, but the semi truck parked outside, because he's like, oh shit, this guy is home, and you don't know who this guy is or what his deal is.
But we'll get to that because I do have some notes.
Yeah, for sure. And but you're getting Bobby right, and it sets up this little detail of like, because you find out in like maybe 2 more scenes ahead of this that Bobby was dating Laura, and it's like, whoa, if he thought Laura was alive, what is he doing with that girl? And like, there's like, you find out after the fact, like, oh, he's cheating. Like, oh, whoa. It's like all these little nuggets.
The note I have that it says everyone is cheating in this town.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, everyone's banging everyone else.
It is so amazing how quickly they show that. They'll be like, oh, Bobby and Lauren, like all this, or Donna and blank blank, and then you just find out that they're all like fucking someone else, like almost immediately the scene after or before, and it's really fucking funny. But there's the next note, which is you hear almost the entire OST in the first 5 minutes, which I think is hilarious.
They for that show in particular too, they get their money's worth out of Laura Palmer's theme. Like,
but not just that one. There's like 3 other tracks that sound very similar, and they all kind of, and I find this so interesting, they mix between each other a lot in certain scenes. They'll just like slowly switch one back, and like change out, and like it almost just fades out and fades in right into the next track, and you hear all the main ones in probably the first 5 minutes. And I find that really interesting because like throughout the show they don't change songs a lot. It is those 5 songs for like a good chunk of it.
And they're pretty seamless, honestly. The only one I was really picking up on was Laura Palmer's theme, but it's only because it has such an iconic hook in my mind.
Oh, it's absolutely known as like the Twin Peaks song besides the intro.
Yeah, and it's like every time it plays too, it's like anything that references Laura, it's like, all right, let's get that theme in there, boys.
Yeah, and not even that. Like during the scene where James and Donna are in the forest, and it's interesting because as they're talking about like the dangers and stuff, and Laura Palmer's theme starts out really ominous because it's like, and it's like really down, and then it slowly kind of goes into a love theme.
Yeah,
and
it's like awakening.
And then like right as it's peaking into that, that's when James and Donna start kissing, and then almost exactly as the song stops, it goes right back into that first like ominous theme. They break apart and like, we have to get out of here and hide this, and it's just the music is the same throughout, but it matches almost every scene to a T.
Oh my god, yeah, it's like it's so efficient in the way that they do the music, where it's almost like video game music, where you're just never gonna get sick of hearing it, and so if they use it right, you don't even notice.
Exactly. So next on the note is actually when you're talking about Bobby, this would have been the perfect time to mention this. Dang. When Bobby goes to with, I can't remember her name, Norma, I believe, to her house, there's a semi truck, and to exactly quote you, because we've been playing a lot of American trucks, Mars immediately went out loud. Looks like a Peterbilt.
Yeah.
Fun little note.
Can I share something too? I posted this in our chat, but I just want to mention it because I think it's funny. On that note of me calling it a Peterbilt, I've been looking at a lot of trucks lately, and I've been like very carefully selecting trucks in that game. And I was driving today, and I saw the exact make, model and like added little details truck that I have in the game in real life, and it made me go shut up out loud or like, oh my god. Because I had just installed like mirrors on the hood of my truck, and that truck had it, and it had the same like I was like, it had like the little antennas on the mirrors. It was a whole thing. I love trucks, apparently.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, apparently so. I saw that post and I laughed pretty hard at that.
Just tickled me. Anyway, yeah, yeah, but it's an iconic looking truck.
Oh, I skipped a note. So when we're finding out, as everyone's like finding out that Laura Palmer died, this is another thing you said that I found was funny. We find Leland, which is Laura's dad, at the hotel, and he's like being brought out, and he's getting called by his wife because the wife is like scared of where she went. We get this really amazing shot where, as he's talking to her on the phone, and like they're talking about where could she possibly be, we see like the police car park outside, and
just over his shoulder too. Like the scene doesn't change. It's
right
just
behind
him sitting there.
It's right behind him in the background. The car happens, and then they're walking out and coming in, and he's still talking to her, and they're still trying to figure it out. And then they walk in, go to the receptionist, go, "Where's Leland?" Because we need to talk to him. And Leland just immediately goes silent because he knows something's wrong. And it's a great scene of like show and don't tell, where everyone's just, like, they're smart enough.
Yeah,
they're figuring out what's happening.
Like, and the mom too is the whole time. Sorry to cut you off, but the whole time that mom is just going, yeah, that's where she must be hanging out with Bobby, right? And the dad's like, yeah, she's got to be hanging out with Bobby. That explains everything. And then, right as they're like kind of talking about it, the cop car pulls it over his shoulder. It's almost funny, like.
Yeah, you laughed at it originally.
Yeah, because it's just so like matter of fact. Like he sits down, they start talking for like 2 seconds, and they're like, oh, maybe she's with Bobby. Oh yeah, maybe you're right. And then cop car like pulled up, stop. There's not even the window isn't super huge. So the cop car doesn't have like a lot of time to stop, so it's just like instantly in the frame. And then he walks in. He's still talking to his wife, trying to convince her. Cop walks up to the receptionist. Receptionist goes, points to Leland right behind the cop. The cop turns around. And the guy just goes, officer, blah, blah, blah. And then his wife over the phone just, like, she really puts together and just starts bawling. And you could hear her screaming over the phone as they, like, he even drops the phone at one point when he gets told what happened.
Yeah, it's a pretty brutal scene. But I think almost right after this, we meet Audrey. And this is specifically the line I talked about. You saw her, and I forget what she does in this scene. I think it's when she puts the pencil in the coffee cup or something.
Oh, no, that's a little later, actually.
Yeah, probably. Either way, okay. We meet her, and you specifically say, oh, this is the Pacifica Northwest.
Oh, yeah. No, it's the scene where she's getting into a car to, like, go to school or something, and she's got these nice little dress shoes on, and I'm like, oh, there's the Pacifica Northwest of the show.
Either way, I just thought that was a very funny line of you immediately saw her and was like, oh, Pacifica Northwest.
Yeah, I think
it fits a little bit. We'll see more about that goes out, but I think you nailed a lot of these characters' interpretations.
I like that this show has been iconic as it is, because I think that there's so much TV that apes off of these archetypes. Because, like, Gravity Falls, I mean, that whole show is like, it totally does the Twin Peaks thing, yeah. It's like entwined. And so it's like having just watched Gravity Falls like a month ago all the way through, and then watching this show is like kind of trippy, because I'm like, oh, Gravity Falls didn't come up with as many things as I kind of thought. I mean, it's still very creative and interesting, but it's like, huh, okay.
And the show was really interesting for its time about Twin Peaks. We'll get more into it more down the line, but especially for this time of like a murder mystery, there's kind of a set way of how murder mysteries are. And Twin Peaks kind of throws a lot of it on its head, in the sense that it doesn't really care as much about the murder mystery as it cares about the lives of the people. Mm-hmm. And the murder is just something to kind of set up and open the world to everyone, because that's how Dale's introduced into the world. And we, as the viewer, are kind of Dale in the situation. And so we're uncovering alongside him about the mysteries, which kind of brings you in my next big thing. I'm going to ask this again at the end of the podcast, but I'm asking right now. Who do you think killed Laura Palmer?
Okay, so based on, I'll even do it where I was at the time, because I was thinking about this while we were watching it.
That's specifically why I'm kind of curious. Is I want to know who you felt like the most, like halfway through watching it,
So
if you were even thinking it at all.
Before you meet Dale, because I'm like, I have the benefit of watching this show after everything. So, and I kind of like know that there's like a mystery afoot, and it's like the characters are the story. So I'm like, okay, the killer is somewhere amongst the characters we're meeting. It's got to be one of these people or someone they've shown offhandedly, like something like a little nugget. So I'm like, the whole episode, I'm like kind of watching people's reactions to learning information and like kind of how they handle situations and stuff, and just trying to like read in, and I couldn't really get a vibe on anybody, which made me think that it's like, oh, like maybe it's like, I don't know, for halfway through the episode I was like, maybe it's someone we haven't met yet. And that was kind of my thought, was like, none of these characters really give off like they're like malicious or have like a malicious side hidden underneath them. There's a few people that might snap, like the receptionist lady that works for Leland because he runs like a hotel. I was thinking her for a second because she's so nervous and on edge all the time, and like she's very unassuming. So that was kind of my first guess. But
Leland doesn't run the hotel, by the way.
Oh, does he not? Okay.
No, he works there.
Okay. So I'm thinking. So then the receptionist at the hotel, though, that was who I suspected about halfway through the episode. But it's even that I was like, I don't know. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't think I'll say whether or not we have seen the character, because I think it's more fun
Absolutely
to not really think about it as much. Like, it can be in the back of your mind if you want, but I definitely don't think Twin Peaks is one of those shows where you have to be like writing down notes and be like, oh, what they enter. Because if you wrote down notes for this character acted weird here, you would have a book.
And that's kind of what I was picking up on, because I was trying to look for people who, like, I know David Lynch and Mark Frost. I know that the writing for this show is like super. It's like, it's not going to tell you everything, especially from what I saw from the first half of the episode. I was like, they're not going to just outright say it, but they are going to hide clues. They have to. So I don't know.
It's I will say this: when I found out who did it, I still don't even know fully how it happened and all that. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, but it's just to really say that I think the beauty of the show is the fact that the mystery hooks you in, but it's not what the show is.
Mm-hmm.
So next on the note is, I forget what's happening, and maybe you can jog my memory on this. Something's happening, and I think it's a funny scene, but we hard cut to a lady who is all fucked up walking on a bridge.
Yeah.
And do you remember what was right before that? Because I don't.
I don't either. I know. Either way. I know that how the scene starts. It's just some guy doing his job, and then, or no, it's literally just that static shot of her on the bridge. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it hard cuts to this. It's like you're like down below the bridge looking up, and there's just this really battered lady, and it's a really kind of unsettling shot, because I don't even think there's music or anything. It's just, it cuts her, and she looks like a ghastly figure walking across this high bridge until like the guy notices her. Yeah, it feels almost like a found footage of some lady walking across. It's creepy.
Because usually like shots in this show, not that I'm the person counting shots, but I kind of was, like seeing how long they would like hold on stuff for significance. Not that I was looking for clues in that, but just kind of like I was noticing they were holding a lot on certain things. And that shot is like, it's like maybe 30-40 seconds unbroken of just a woman kind of haphazardly walking along a bridge, in these torn up, fucked up clothes, and you're just like, the whole time you're just thinking like, what happened to her? Like, who is that? Is that Laura? Like, wait, that can't be Laura. Who else could be missing? And like, it's this whole little, like, you're just dancing with all the possibilities of like what is going on right now.
And that's an interesting thing about like shots and how long they hold on it, because there are a lot of shots they actually reuse a lot, like for specific things. And one of the most haunting shots for me, and I can't quite put my finger on it, and they show this a lot throughout the show, and specifically in this episode, is there's a shot in Laura Palmer's house where it's at the bottom of the staircase pointing up, and there's no like lights up there. So the lights from the downstairs or the bedrooms upstairs kind of light it, but one specific static angle shot in the house, and they kind of show it in different moments of the mom walking up to go find Laura, and then you get it once more at the end when the house is completely dark and the mom is like just quietly sitting on the couch smoking, and you just have this dark shot of the house. And it's really interesting how they reuse the same shots to show how much has changed throughout that episode or throughout the show.
And it's that scene in particular too, it's like there's so many different things that happen too in that hallway that are like really significant to the plot. And it's just like I think there's one point where there's like police going through her room, I think, right? And that
sounds right.
And it's still that shot. It's the top of the stairs, and then you can see light coming in through Laura's room as somebody like goes through it. And it's like, ooh, like I don't know. It's like it's this weird, like you're a bystander almost looking into a room. Like I like those shots.
Yeah. By the way, we watched this episode 2 days ago. Technically just 1 day ago, but if it sounds like we don't remember a lot happens in this episode. It's like about 2 hours. It rarely gives you time. I want to get into the next part, which is the show. What did I write there?
Please read it. I want to hear.
The show's date. He's the best. What?
The show's date. Who could that be about?
I don't.
This show's date.
Maybe I was talking about Dale. I probably was talking about Dale.
Oh,
they show Dale.
You were saying
that's what I was trying to write.
It's not date. You were writing data. He's this show's data.
Oh, the show's data. Yeah, because you asked. Okay, so first off, I'm getting a little too ahead then.
Because you get the intro, and that's what made me say that.
Yeah. The introduction of Dale, which for the viewers, it's a monologue in a car of him immediately talking to his tape recorder, Diana. And he goes on this whole thing, and he talks about the trees and stuff, and talks about why he's going to Twin Peaks. What was your first impression from that first monologue in the car?
I thought it was like, that's kind of immediately what my reaction was, like, oh, he's like Data. Like, cause like for me, Dale Cooper was like a mysterious character who knew everything, and he's like coming in like a G-man, you know, maybe he already knows the mystery, but like instantly it's like, Diane, I had delicious pancakes. Like, oh, and remind me. And he's so fixated on this. Like, he has all these little questions that he wants to ask people, but he's also doing really serious work. So it's like, Diana, send the autopsy report to, or whatever. He's like getting situated in the town, and then he goes, and remind me to look up what kind of trees they have out here. They're just so dang beautiful.
Green trees.
Big, beautiful green trees. And he's just so like fixated on these like details that are so not what he's investigating, but it's like, I don't know, it like humanizes him in a really interesting way, where you just find out he's a curious person and he's not afraid of a lot of things. Like, he's totally comfortable with like just asking for whatever or saying whatever. It's like not a big deal, and it gives us such Data vibes, where Data would do shit like that to people. He'd just walk up to people and he'd be like, I'm sorry for your loss, and they'd be like at a funeral, and then he'd be like, what kind of trees are outside?
It's exactly that, and the interesting thing is I think Dale's one of the best protagonists in a show ever, which is a big statement.
Agreed.
But he is really like Data in that sense, where that all the lovable parts about him, but Dale's also a little mysterious because we don't know anything about him.
Or who he works for, really.
All of love and stuff. Well, he's an FBI agent, technically.
Technically, so sure, but that's what I wonder too, is like, you only have his word to go on.
But and that's what makes him so interesting, though, is at the time, like FBI agents in media, there's a certain way they act. They're usually really technical and super serious, but Cooper just kind of feels it out. He's like I have a feeling that she's right. He'll say that at some point, where it's not like he knows. It's just literally like yeah, she's probably right, honestly.
Yeah, like there's a scene where he's interrogating somebody, and he's like pressing him and being like really on the ball, and then he just types on a little calculator thing and slides it over to the cop next to him, and he goes, he's not guilty. or he didn't do it. Like, but he still keeps grilling the guy. Like,
yeah, exactly. And there's no even probably super hard evidence of it. It's just what he feels, and that's what makes him so interesting because he does believe in the truth and stuff, but he really also just trusts his gut too, which makes him really different, and which makes me want to talk about this scene where Dale and Truman meet. I don't know if you know this as much, but you probably do. A lot of people know this. Usually, when shows introduced FBI agents and like local cops, they always butt heads. Like military, FBI cops, they never get along. So the scene for Dale when he's like, Truman, I just want to let you know, I want to talk about this because usually law enforcement doesn't like it when the bigwigs come around and tell them what to do, but we're going to need full control of this and you're going to have to follow everything I do. Are you okay with that? And then Truman goes, we're just happy to have you here helping. And then Dale immediately relaxes and goes, Truman, you gotta tell me, what kind of trees are you growing out?
Well, that scene makes me crack up too, because he goes, okay, and then he like says this really serious, like, take me to the autopsy, or like something really serious, and then he goes, and Truman, you gotta tell me about these trees. What kind of trees you got? And he's like, evergreens or whatever. He's like, oh, evergreens.
Douglas firs.
Douglas fir. He like he's like really thoughtful.
Douglas firs.
Douglas firs.
But that's what makes it so interesting is the subversion is because you think the whole show premise would be that Dale wants to do certain things away and won't tell Truman, and Truman's getting upset about it. But no, they're just working together throughout like this first episode. They're just on each other's side. Maybe Dale won't tell him fully, but Truman like trusts him.
And it's like this, I don't know, like they're like it's like comfy the way they interact with each other, where anything that would have made their relationship strained over like a 10 episode arc was squashed immediately. They were just like, he was just like, all right, hey, this is it, this is how we're gonna do it, and he's like, yeah, obviously I need your help, cool. And they're like, all right, and then they just are buddies for the rest of the episode. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, they're just cool with each other. I absolutely love that. It's so refreshing.
And that's the thing. Yeah, that's what it is. This whole show, it's like drinking a glass of water. You're like, oh, I didn't even know I was thirsty. Like,
yeah, it really takes everything you know about these types of shows, kind of flips it a bit because a lot of people say that the show is about changing what's on TV. Like that's kind of the meta commentary or whatever, which we'll get down deeper into the line. Yeah, exactly. It was kind of a commentary in a way about TV, and I kind of agree with that a bit, but I don't want to get too meta just from the first episode. I think it sets up a lot, but we haven't even nearly hit all the weird stuff yet. Right after this scene, we meet the weird vibes doctor, is what I wrote.
Weird vibes doctor. Yeah, he's
like, what do you think about that guy?
You're not sure if is it? Wait. Weird vibes doctor. Is that the guy?
He's the guy with the weird tie.
He just that guy. Yeah, the dude who's like, he like comes in and he's got like a Hawaiian babe on his tie, and he's like really casual. I forget what he says to them, but it's not cool.
He's like, he says something like, I heard Laura Palmer die, and he's like smiling, and he's like, real shame, I was her psychologist or something.
Oh yeah, like yeah, he said, honestly, you want to talk about people? I think he might be a red herring, but he's on my list of suspects now.
It's up to you, because like
I'm wearing the suit. I know it's up to me.
Exactly. Yeah, that was funny too when we were talking about outfits for characters. I really wanted Mars to be Dale because, first off, you kind of remind me of her, or remind me of him in a way.
Very flattering.
But more just you guys ask weird questions randomly, and like bring up weird tidbits.
And that was the thing too. I really fell in love with Dale Cooper as a character.
You were really adamant, by the way, of not being Dale. You're like, you should be Dale, and I'm like, I am not Dale. 100%.
I thought it was so coveted. Like being Dale Cooper would be the coveted position. And
no, I wanted to give that to you immediately. It just only felt right.
I was so ready. I like told Deyd up front. I was like, hey, I've already thought about this. I'm not gonna be Dale. I'm gonna give that to you. That's yours. I'm gonna pick some rando character. And then you were like, what? No, I don't want to be Dale. And I was like, wait, why not? And then you were like, and then now seeing Dale interact with other people, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally get why you wanted me to be the one dressed as Dale. But
Yeah, here's another thing. Not to move it along so quickly, but yeah, I felt like Dale was perfect for you.
Uh-huh.
This is something that you asked, which was, do we ever meet Diane?
Yeah.
Because Dale talks to his tape recorder just randomly throughout the episode and goes, Diane, blah, 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 blah. And like, just talks to her. And he said, do we ever meet Diane? Does she show up later? Is she even real? Like, who is this? And who do you think Diane is right now, Mars?
My best guess is somehow as an FBI agent, he has a direct secretary, which means he's probably a bigwig, but I get the vibe that she's his secretary or somebody who works at the bureau.
Okay. Then after this, we meet Ed and Nadine, because I think Donna rolls up to the gas station and talks to Ed for... No, James rolls up to the gas station.
Yeah, on his little motorcycle.
James, the pretty boy he is, sulks and looks sad at the at the gas station.
Yeah, well, he just found out that Laura died too. So let's be, in all fairness to his sulking and moping. Also, the guy they picked to play James is like, he's so perfect for that role. He looks like if you shaved what's his name's head, the dude from the X-Files, David Duchovny. It looks like if you shaved David Duchovny's head bald and then put like a short hair wig on him. That's what James looks like, and it's perfect. And his hair, it's just a little like, he just has this mopey face. Like, but
this may not shock you, but James is like really clowned on at the Twin Peaks community because he's like supposed to be the pretty sad boy, but like the show does not care to make him look cool at all. They just really lean into the I'm so pretty but so sad. So like every CDC of him, he's like has that he's a Zoolander pout going.
Dude, and you know what else too cracks me up? His he wears this cool aviator jacket, right? With the fur on the trim around the neck, but the fur on the trim is exactly the same as his hair. So it just looks like he somehow got his hair to also be on his jacket, and it only makes his hair look goofier to me personally. So like
nothing is helping him.
No, nothing. And I forget, I said something about him being like like, oh, I'm gonna go ride my motorcycle sadly or something, like when he pulls up to the gas station.
That's his whole character though. And that's what's funny is like when I said I feel like you nailed a lot of these characters, is that's his vibe. Yeah, I'm gonna go drive my motorcycle sadly.
I'm gonna go think it and drive through the woods.
I want to go clear my head in the woods on my big chopper. But as he finishes up talking with Ed, and Ed gets yelled at by his wife Nadine.
Oh, is that his wife?
Who do you think it was?
I thought it was just some lady who lived across from the gas station.
Oh no, that's his wife, and he's cheating on her.
Oh shit!
Because they talked about it later. Norma's like, does Nadine know about this and stuff?
To be honest, didn't even clock that. I didn't even realize that's what they said because that scene is coupled with a really tense thing that's happening in like the background, there's a tense thing that's happening the tense moment is about to arrive at the bar that they're drinking at, and so I was thinking about that the whole time. But that's so funny. I didn't even put together because the whole time, for someone who hasn't watched the show, Dean is this lady who's just directly across the street from the gas station. To me, this is what she was. She was just a lady who was directly across the street from the gas station. She has an eye patch and a flannel shirt, and she just bursts the door open in the middle of characters interacting at the gas station. She just bursts the door open and screams across the street, "When are you going to put these curtains up? I've been waiting for these curtains to go up. You know, you said they go up at 10 and it's 11. And then like that happens like a few times throughout the show. So that's like, I thought, oh, she's like the lady who's like she's always interrupted and being silly or whatever. I didn't realize that was his wife.
I mean, that you did nail her, but yeah, she is Big Ed's wife.
Oh man, I hope she doesn't find out about Ed.
I love Nadine. We'll get into some more interesting stuff about her.
Oh yeah, you like Nadine? So the person in Nadine cosplay?
Nadine cosplay. I mean, you'll see why. Nadine is like I don't know. She's probably like one of my favorite characters. There's some really interesting stuff about her. But I still have some notes, so let's go to the next one. I don't think we have talked about this one too much. I just love what you said. At one point, I think they're at the police department, and they're taking a bunch of shit out of a box, and you said, this is like an unboxing video, but for crime.
Oh, yeah, they get the safety deposit box, because they find, like, a key for a safety deposit box under Laura's name, and they go to open it, and he's just, like, he's like opening things, and he's like grabs a diary, and they're like, we haven't been able to get the lock off of it, and Dale just rips it open with his bare hands, and then he flips through and like, reads random pages and makes like a weird note, and then just goes on to he like sets it aside and goes to the next thing out of the box, and it's just like this short scene of him like slowly like, and then he
places this out to it perfectly like an unboxing video.
Yeah, he's like, all right, we're gonna put that off to the side, we'll look at that later. You know.
But yeah, that was a really good one. And then after that, I wrote down, I just like what I wrote here is Audrey does a little trolling.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, the other thing,
a little trolling.
We didn't mention this, but when Leland is getting the call that his daughter is dead, he is doing a huge thing to try to get all these foreign Norwegian investors to sign this paperwork, and none of them speak English. Which is important, and then back
one
to
of them does.
One of them does, and he's helping the others.
One's the translator.
Yeah.
But yeah, Audrey finds out that they're all hanging out in the lunchroom, and she is instructed not to go in there. By the way, earlier in the scene, she just fucking jams a cup of coffee with a pencil. And she's like, what would happen if I took it out to the secretary? And the secretary's like, you're not going to do that. And then she pulls it out and coffee spills everywhere. So that's like a great example of what her character's like immediately. But she's told not to go into the lunchroom. And we already know how she reacts to being told not to do something. Would you like to recount of what happens in the scene of Audrey going into the lunchroom?
Yes, I would. Sorry, there's a little kid in a pool outside that's screaming, and I was muting for it. Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. Because it's her doing that, where she pulls the pencil out, coffee gets everywhere, and the receptionist, like, she's just panicking.
No, I'm talking about the lunchroom.
No, I know. It's just I love the setup of she's panicking, freaking out, and she goes, "Oh, all right. You know what? I gotta clean this up. Just don't bother those investors. Don't tell them about Laura's death." And she's like dealing with the coffee state, and then she goes, just gets up and is like, she walks into the room with the investors, and they're all like quietly signing contract stuff while the guy tells them what to do, the translator. And then she's like, and then they like the guys just one by one start looking at her. And then
she's moping her around, like literally kicking her feet across the ground, like
leaning against the wall,
doing a little dance, leaning against the wall, just looking as sad as can be.
And then the translator, the guy who speaks English, sees everyone is not paying attention to him, is looking at this girl, and he just goes, "Young lady, is there anything we can help you with?" And she just goes, "My friend Laura died today."
Your friend Laura died. They found her body.
And she starts crying, and it's this tragedy of like, oh, she was wrapped up in plastic on the beach, like.
Yeah. By the way, it's really goofy fucking like trombone music is playing during this.
Oh yeah, they're like, she is the whole scene. I think I was going, oh no, don't.
Audrey's a little bit of a troll.
She's like a cat. She sees the cup on the edge, and she's like, let me just push it.
She does a little bit of trolling.
I loved that. I really did. I loved her little, like, she fucks up this huge, like, I assume multi-million-dollar deal that was about to get locked in. It was going to change the town forever. Like, business, like, people are going to be coming from international just to come here and like relax. And then she just blew it with one sentence. I thought it was so good.
I'm going to start moving a little bit quickly because there are a lot of notes.
Yeah, we should pick it up, yeah.
Yeah, how far are we in, by the way, time-wise?
We're about our first hour.
Okay. Yeah, this is kind of a long episode, so understandably, this first episode will be a bit longer. But I wrote down Lucy's the best. Funny scene right after a serious scene. I don't remember which one. It could be any scene with her, because she usually just says the goofiest shit possible. I don't remember where it is during that. Then we get to the scene where we're at the town hall and they're having a meeting about curfew. And first off, just a real small note, Cooper's like, who's that pretty lady like walking in, or like, and Truman tells him, but I just thought it was funny that he immediately pointed out how hot she is, because she's a very pretty actress. Mm-hmm. And the log lady starts flickering, and he asks, who is that? Who's that lady holding the log? And they're like, oh, that's the log lady.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like, oh, she has like a name, like, oh, that's Diane. But no, it's just straight, or that, oh, that's whatever. But it's immediately like, she's in one, they're in the big room, and then flick, 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 and then he looks over and goes, who's that? And then she goes, we call it the log lady. And he goes, oh, okay. And then it ends. And I'm like, see somebody who's been like absorbing Twin Peaks media through other people for years, I'm thinking, oh, she's probably got a crazy story. Nope, she's just the log lady. She just carries a log.
That's the log lady.
It's log lady. Come on, get with it. It's log lady. Catch up.
And that's what I wrote down was log lady name, because I think you're like, is that just her name? Is that what they call her? Does she not have like an actual name?
As far as I'm aware, that's all she's called for the rest of the show.
And then eventually we get Bobby and his friend. I can't remember the friend's name. They blow curfew.
Yeah, blonde shithead.
Yeah, and they go to Donna's house. Bobby's like standing on the car dancing.
Yeah, he's like drinking a beer and surfing on the hood.
And like, yeah, he's surfing and smoking and shit. He looks like a little shithead. And as his friend like knocks on Donna's family's house, and the dad opens up. He's like, have you been drinking and driving? And the guy's like, honestly, we're all just pretty broke up about it. And to be fair, Bobby's doing most of the driving right after the shot of him like dancing on the hood of the roof.
Yeah, he like looks over the guy's shoulder and Bobby is on the hood surfing and drinking a beer and like crushes it and throws it in the like off to the side.
That's another great moment. By the way, did you put together, it's really subtle, but I'm just going to tell you right now because it's not like a spoiler. Do you remember Major Briggs, the guy in the general outfit?
No.
The bald dude in the military outfit?
No.
You're kidding me, right?
Nope, not kidding you.
There's a guy in a full military outfit that's getting his hair cut.
No, I don't. What?
Yeah, there's a guy in a fucking full military outfit getting his haircut when his wife picks up the phone. It's like when the person, he also talks to Bobby as Bobby's coming out of the police station. Do you really not remember him?
No, are you making this up?
No, this is real. I'll have to send you a picture, but I won't tell you then, because if you don't remember,
this would be the most fucked up thing to do to me right now. Is to just
I'm being serious.
No, but listen, I just want to pitch this because I think it's funny. You could really mess with me and just start like inserting like images of a character into scenes and just like Photoshop. Be like, Mars, look, there, he was literally standing right there, and it's like this super obvious dude standing in a hallway or something. Dude,
that's really what's happening right now, though. Except it's a real character. You didn't remember it. Though.
Yeah, dude. I just censor barred him. Apparently. U.S. military uniform, not paying attention.
I'm sure if I send you a picture, you'd probably be like, oh, that guy. But
100%.
The fact that I'm describing him and you just don't remember him is really funny to me.
It's gonna hit me like a brick when I see him. I genuinely don't remember anybody getting their haircut. I don't remember anybody in any uniform that was military.
Well, it's funny too because he's like casually in a military outfit. He's like a citizen and he's in his like full military outfit, which is the thing that's so striking to me about him.
Is he the guy who answers the door?
At Donna's house?
Yeah, I thought that was the doctor.
No, that's not him.
Is that also not the doctor?
Which doctor?
Well, I don't know why we're talking about witch doctors. No, I'm kidding. No, the doctor who's on the beach when they go like get the doctor, and that's the guy they grab. It's like some just, or he's like maybe he's a mortician. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's him.
Okay.
Either way, I won't tell you that information yet then until you instinctively know him. But I think I also wrote time flew by. Oh, that's when we had 10 minutes left, and you asked me how long was left. Which again, I knew where we were at, but I just thought it was funny because the way you stopped it was like, "Hey, I'm probably down for watching more of this, but I just wanted to like check where are we at." And I had paused, and it was like 10 minutes left, and you bursted out laughing.
I was like smacking my table because it just made me crack up so much. I was like, I'm like thinking in my head, like, okay, we're surely at the halfway point at this point. Like, it's been about 40 minutes. And then it's not. It's been an hour and 20 minutes or something.
It flies by. The show, I've sat down and watched it, and it just feels like a blur.
And you know, that's it, but also it's like you watch it and it's like you lived a weird life. Like, it's kind of, everything's so complete in that show. It doesn't really leave me wanting for anything. Like, I don't wish they did anything in that first episode. I really, it's efficient and it's well written and it gets everyone's motivations done beautifully, and like all these characters interact, and how they interact, it like sets the tone for the dynamics in the town really well. It's like really, there's like almost this weird dividing line between like the adults who are trying to keep things together, but they're all fucked up, and then the kids who are like actively fucking things up, but are also trying to like
solve it themselves.
Yeah, to like solve it and like move, and like also just in their own lives like find some happiness. But it's sort of like it's like the kids are doing what the adults will, or like the kids will be eventually become the adults. That just seems like how this town is, where it's like,
yeah,
you start doing secret shit as a kid.
This pilot is really well known for being like one of the best pilots for a show. Like, the pilot took everyone when it came out like by storm because people were so in love with that pilot.
Absolutely, I can imagine.
But another little note I wrote down, and I'm kind of curious to see if you know. I wrote, everyone is cheating in this town, and do you remember how many people are cheating that we've seen so far?
Let me see if I can count it. Okay, let's...
And say them out loud for which ones that you think or that you know are cheating.
Okay, so Ed's cheating, right?
Yes.
Donna is cheating.
Donna is indeed cheating. I think she's with...
James?
She's with James, but she's supposed to be dating the blonde guy, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the jockey football guy. Who,
yeah, I never remember his name.
I love this. This is such a detail. I don't know if this is actually what it was, but for what I remember saying this to you, I thought it was a fun little detail that like you can tell he's a jock and doesn't like, is kind of a shithead, because he has his varsity letter on his jacket, right? You have to like, you like earn those and then you like steam it onto your jacket, and then he just has like, and every year that you like perform, because I was an athlete, and like every year you perform you get like the next letter, and he just has his letter like ironed over like the first one he got, but it's not lined up correctly, so you just have this like kind of shitty patch on his jacket. And I kind of like that touch about his character, is like, yeah, he is successful at being like, you know, a football star or whatever, but he just kind of like doesn't give a fuck and is kind of shitty. Like, I like that. It's like a little subtle outfit thing. And honestly, everyone's outfits are like really telling of who they are as a character. Like, Bobby's outfit is like, he's like the bad boy with...
You're getting really off topic.
What were you asking me?
Did I just... It's kind of amazing to watch you just completely go straight off. Me? The first question was, do you remember who was cheating?
Shit, I'm sorry, dude.
It's okay.
Okay, so Ed, Donna... I don't think James counts because he's not dating anybody. Bobby's cheating. No, yeah. No, the other girl who was there, right? Norma.
I forget the guy's name with the ponytail. We'll learn more about him later. But yeah, she's cheating on him.
And then
Laura was cheating on Bobby, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Bobby was getting cheated on.
And Bobby was cheating on her.
Yeah, Bobby's cheating on her. And then let's see, I think that's it. Right?
Yeah, I think so. Because I'm not 100%. I could have sworn, I think her name's Catherine, the company lady at the sawmill. Oh. I don't know if she's in a relationship. I'm not 100% sure on that. Oh. The other person who's cheating too. The old lady who's talking to the hotel manager or the hotel owner. She's cheating on the fisherman guy with him.
Wait, I thought it was the other lady, the lady from Seattle, or the like outsider lady who runs the mill.
What about her?
I thought she. Oh no, she's dating the cop, right?
She's dating Truman.
Yeah. Which I don't think he's with anyone.
Well, I was trying to remember if she was dating anyone, but I don't think she is. I think they're just together naturally. But I was talking about the old lady who's dating the fisherman guy.
Doesn't the lady who kind of runs the mill also lives with them or something like that?
Yeah, I forget what it is. Like they work together or live with them or something.
It's like a weird dynamic. Yeah, that's the other thing too. There's like so many things to like digest and think about, and like really, it's like actually going into a small town and like somebody local starts telling you all these little details. You're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Like, you know,
that's what I love about it, and it's so refreshing coming back to the first season because the show gets weird like later down the line, especially with the return season. We'll get back to that later. I wrote down James is a pretty boy because he was probably doing a pout at that scene when I wrote it or something. That's like his entire character in the pilot. It's just him going, what if they get me, Donna? And like Donna's like, don't say that, babe. Let's kiss.
Put the necklace under a rock. We'll be safe.
So we remember where it is.
Dude, it was all the characters are so like, I don't know. You know, it's kind of funny. Watching the show kind of reminds me being a teenager in a weird way. Like, it's very... Because, like, when I was a teenager, I was doing all kinds of stuff. And sneaking around at night and whatnot. And it's one of those things where I kind of watch these characters leading these double lives. And it's, like, weird, like... it's, like, nostalgic but not, like, in a positive way. It just makes me think, like, oh, man, like...
Glad I'm not a dumb kid anymore.
Yeah, glad I'm not a dumb kid. These kids are some deep shit, and they don't even know it yet, you know?
Yeah, they're just fucking around for fun, basically.
Yeah, like you guys are like the fact that Donna had to get on so Donna goes to a bar to go find James, and then her like boyfriend and his shithead friend show up and they start causing trouble at the bar, and the bikers at the bar know Donna.
Bobby and the blonde guy.
Yeah, Bobby and the blonde guy show up and they start causing trouble, and Donna gets taken out of the bar by one of the bikers who knows James, and it's like this like I don't know, like the bikers already knew who she was too, which is like this interesting thing that gets implied. It's like, okay, well, what is Donna doing now that's going on? And then she gets driven to the middle of the woods by just some dude that I assume she trusts. Because she says, like, thank you, and the guy goes, like, here you go, James. And it's like a whole...
It's kind of implied that, like, the biker... Because here's the thing, back in the day, if you're in a small town, if you had a bike, you were probably friends with other bikers. It's like how it was for, like, my dad and shit. And so it's kind of implied that James is just friends with all the bikers. And that was probably one of his buddies who brought... Because he also said, James is looking for you. And then Donna's like, oh, bring me to him.
And then James is just in the middle of the forest. Like, was he sitting there the whole time, thinking?
Well, it's a little implied that he was like one of the last people to see Laura, and he doesn't have an alibi.
Oh yeah, so he's like hiding. I just love that's where he's hiding in a specific spot. Is what kills me.
Yeah.
It's just let me sit in this dark part of the trail where all my friends can find me.
So after that, I have a couple more notes, and then I'll just kind of like throw it open before we start closing up stuff.
Sounds good.
Lucy, at one quick line, Cooper was like, I really want some donuts, like as they were driving. And then the next day, when he goes into the police station office, in the conference room that we're currently sitting at, there's a shit ton of donuts just stacked all around in random places.
The best part, they're like evenly spaced from each other. It's like a stack of 3 and then a little bit of space and then a stack of 3.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like really implied that Lucy just sat there because she's like the secretary, so she probably got the donuts and sat there and stacked each of them like little towers all around.
And the best part too, it's like they're not on like a plate or anything. They're just on paper towels that have been rolled like a tablecloth across the length of the conference room table. and they're just stacked up. And it's also like, I love that it's just for 2 dudes, but it's enough donuts to feed a room full of people.
And I don't even think that in that specific scene, I don't even think they grab a donut or eat it.
Yeah, Dale does not have one donut in that scene.
Which is just really funny because like Lucy probably put all that work in for nothing.
And Lucy, by the way, I just want to say, Lucy, one of my favorite characters in the show. Great character.
Oh, she'll stay amazing throughout the whole show. She's so good.
Oh wait, we forgot. I do want to touch on this. Is when Lucy is Lucy. Okay, so Bobby gets brought into the police station for questioning, right? And the cops are grilling him and stuff. You know, Dale thinks he's innocent and he lets him go. And Bobby doesn't really know what's going on, but he kind of puts together, because Dale goes, does the letter J mean anything? And he kind of puts together that James is the one that has been hanging out with his girlfriend and stuff. Like he kind of puts together a little bit what's going on. And so he goes to talk to his friend who's waiting for him in the hallway, and they're having this conversation about how they're going to like beat someone's ass. They don't say who, but they're like, we're going to wreck this dude. And they look over their shoulder and they see Lucy is like typing and looking over her shoulder at them, and they go, let's take this outside. And then Lucy just kind of like goes back to looking at the thing and types more, and then she runs into the room after they leave the police station. She runs in to Dale and the other dude and just goes, oh, here, what did she say exactly? It's like really specific but very funny.
She was like, I was pretending like I wasn't typing what they're saying, but I was actually just typing the whole time what they're talking about.
And this is what they were saying. And she like hands the paper.
And hands the paper, and then Dale just goes, They know who Jay is, and they're going to find him. And she's like, yeah. He just guessed what she probably wrote down immediately. Yeah. Also, by the way, you remember that scene really well. Really? But you don't remember Bobby walking out department and talking to the guy in the general outfit.
Nope. Not for a second.
Like literally that scene ends with Bobby leaving and then like being like oh hey blah blah blah, and then blah blah is like, oh Robert, I will see you at the house later today. You
know what it was? I bet I was just laughing at that whole sequence for 2 seconds ago, and my brain was just thinking about it and I totally forgot.
Absolutely. I just think that's funny how much you remembered that scene.
I adored it. Yeah, that's a little back in the episode, but I just wanted to touch on that before we start.
It's all good. It's all good.
So funny.
And that's the thing, is that so much happens, and I know so much about the show that I'm not going to remember the sequence of a lot of these. Not that it really matters in the long run.
Yeah.
These are all just like little vignettes of their lives so far. But at one point, the blonde guy and Bobby gets put in the jail. At the end, and James also gets put in the jail because he like confesses. He doesn't confess to the crime or anything. He just gets taken in because he's like very likely a subject, and they want him in for questioning. And they put James on the opposite side of Bobby and the blonde guy, which, by the way, they're in there because of the bar scene.
Yeah,
they got in trouble. And then they death stare James down. He looks like a sad puppy.
Yeah, he's like looking down up at
barking and screaming.
Yeah, I was like trying to say something to you, and then they start barking, and I went dead silent.
Because it's so out of nowhere. They're just like death staring at each other, and then also
because it's like, honestly, that's something I would have said as a joke, and I love that they went for it. They just do it because, you know, honestly, you're that mad and you're trying to intimidate somebody. Barking would rattle my cage. That would freak me out. If I was across from somebody who wanted to kill me and they just started barking at me, I'd be like, what the fuck?
You guys are fucking weird.
They're crazy.
And that's kind of all the notes I wrote down, so I can kind of throw it open if there's anything particular you want to talk about, or if you want to start concluding.
I want to say up top, I know we've been saying it the whole episode, I thought this was fantastic. I'd never really watched Twin Peaks, never really had the intentions to watch Twin Peaks. I once stayed in a Twin Peaks themed Airbnb that I thought was a Nazi like Airbnb, because there were those weird symbols all over the place that I later found out were just symbols from the show, and it's like not a big deal. But like I was like, what is this? What's going on here? Like why are those weird symbols everywhere? And like And then
Are these hate symbols?
These hate symbols. And then it's funny too, especially after that. Once I figured out it was an Airbnb of Twin Peaks, I like started looking around the room and it started making a lot of sense. I was like, oh yeah, there's like a 50s theme. And then I went to the bathroom for the first time after figuring out it wasn't a Nazi themed Airbnb. I went to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom on the Airbnb and I flicked the light switch and I like something hit my hand and I looked at the light switch and there's like a Dale Cooper paper cutout over the light switch.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway.
By the way, I was so jealous because like you were staying at this super fucking awesome Twin Peaks Airbnb and you had no idea what it was.
No appreciation.
Is this a Nazi place? And I'm like, that's Twin Peaks. This is so cool.
And the best part too, they had like all of Twin Peaks on DVD and a DVD player in there, and I had to stay in the hotel room or in the Airbnb room because it was like I was with my girlfriend and we were like going to move to a new city and we were kind of looking for places, and she was out doing stuff and I was just stuck there without a car, and so I had nothing to do but watch cable TV and draw with crayons, and I totally could have watched Twin Peaks. It would have been like the ideal environment to watch Twin Peaks in, is the Twin Peaks themed room, sitting on the bed that's like themed after the show, watching it. But that's all to say that I have been so oblivious to the show that I'm kind of excited to watch it all like open up in front of me. You know, like
I'm really excited for you to go into it blind because I really think that's one of the best ways to go into it.
Yeah, because I know so very little, and you think somebody like me would be really into David Lynch, but I don't know how it happened. I just like missed it. It never happened.
It's funny, you know. I just randomly one day was like, I really want to watch this. Like, I'm not even super into David Lynch, and I just wanted to watch it. And I feel like it happens to some like people at some point where they're just like, it's time. I need to watch this. But to kind of wrap it up here, let's talk about the over. Let's do a couple things. First off, let's do a ranking, like how we do rankings for the Star Trek episodes. For this show, it's a little bit weirder because they're not like
self-contained stories.
Yeah, they're not like self-contained. It's all kind of just part of a random world. But what would you say out of 10? What would you give that?
I mean, so as far as like, I'm just gonna compare this to like other pilot episodes and like how other series kind of start their first episode, because that's kind of the only way you can judge this. As like just a first pilot episode, if I was just somebody in the 90s watching this, 10 out of 10. I mean, like,
wow,
high praise. I know. I mean, you know, but like I mean that, like 10 out of 10, because it is like efficient. It's well written. You get all of these little nuggets of information that you get to chew on and process as you kind of sit with the show after you watch the first episode. But then there's also like all these things that are holding my attention really well and sort of gliding me through the plot. Like, it never feels forced. It never feels like I'm having to like think really hard about what is it trying to tell me as a viewer. It's a really good show that you can just sit back, watch, and you don't have to overthink it. I mean, it kind of asks you to think about it, but you don't have to overthink a single thing that happens. You will not miss the information it's trying to instill in you. Even if you don't understand what it's trying to tell you yet, maybe, it's like, it's just so well done. Like, it's been a while since I've watched something where it's like, it's efficient, it's beautiful, it's touching, but it's also like, I don't know, it's like, it feels like I'm hearing somebody tell me a story. It's so real. Like, I love it. I'm a Twin Peaks fan.
I'm a peeker.
I'm peeking.
I'm peeking right now.
Peeking, dude.
You know, one of the best advice I've gotten, I think they tell this to fucking like elementary school kids, but I remember my elementary school or like middle school teacher telling this in English class, which is like one of the best things to do when writing a story is to make your first 2 sentences really strong, because that needs to be the hook. Otherwise people won't keep reading. And this episode is an amazing first 2 sentences. I don't think there's like a better like hook out there. Like, it just so much happens in the first bit that just keeps you wanting more to know like what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I agree with the 10 out of 10 statement for a pilot, because obviously it's what brought me into it, because I was so curious on what the fuck it was. And here is my last final question for you, unless you have anything else you want to
add. You know, I just want to say one last thing. If you haven't seen the pilot episode, I wish you would have saw it before listening to this. But if you haven't, I hope this was a selling pitch. Go watch it. It's great. It flies by. It's just great. It's good stuff.
Ideally, if you are watching, 100% recommend, because we will get into spoilers and I'm not, you can watch if you want, but really this is one of those shows that will be so hard because it's not like self-contained. I would recommend go watch it. Go watch all the shows, then watch these if you want someone to talk about it with.
Yeah. I mean, we do these episodes just frequently enough, I think, that it would be really good if you just once a week you sit down, you bang out, watch an episode with like yourself or some friends or something, and then just come and hear what we got to say about it, because goddamn, like I love Star Trek with all my heart, but it is such a different show than this. This is like, and this is Twin Peaks is coming out in the 90s, like 90, right? Like right on
literally 1990.
Yeah, 1990. And at this time with the Star Trek franchise, I mean, this is sort of like a big changing point in history with TV, where television shows are becoming more like syndication is becoming more of a thing, where you're getting you're getting like episodes where they lead in one after the other, and you get these long stories. Where they started doing that with like DS9 in the 90s, and it was kind of one of the first shows to really like start that kind of thing. But you also have Twin Peaks coming in, and they're redoing the format. They're bringing in all this like interesting like storytelling stuff that is like very different from some of the other shows, especially the Star Trek shows that were up at the time, where they're like, I don't know, they're almost like, it's almost like watching an older show, watching some of the Star Trek episodes, where it's like, yeah, this is 1989, but it feels like I'm watching an episode from like the 70s or something. Whereas with this show, it feels so modern. I feel like when I watch Twin Peaks, I feel like I'm watching a show that came out today, you know?
Yeah, it was really ahead of its time and kind of set up what mystery and drama shows are a bit now. Even though, to me, first and foremost, it's like a surreal comedy to me.
Yeah, because there's so much funny shit.
Such a weird show. I have always thought of the show as it being funny because just the acting is so over the top. But I love the show. It's so comfy to me. It's I love the aesthetic, the fashion, the music. I've literally made a fan album inspired by the music. That's what you're hearing at the start and what you'll hear at the end.
Yeah, that's what made this so easy too. It was like you didn't have to compose anything.
Exactly. I picked one out. I was like, this is awesome. This is perfectly what I want. But I love the show. We'll get to talk about it more. Hopefully do some more new episodes. At some point we will go back to Star Trek, but for us right now, it is a nice, refreshing breath to a different show.
Yeah, like Star Trek is great. I can't wait to get back on that horse. But you know what? This is summer. It's the summer of Twin Peaks, baby.
Summer of Twin Peaks. We'll really have to enjoy these episodes before season 3 because, boy, it's not bad, but it is confusing. It is long.
Well, I'll be here to help you
feel out in the cold.
We will figure this out we'll be an investigation team. You and me, Mars D. Cooper, and you, Tiki Dean. Pekinine? Pickadeen, and Mars D. Cooper.
All right. Well, I already told you I was going to ask you this again at the end. This is not a serious question for you to feel like you have to have the right answer to it.
I will, but yes, go on.
Intentionally, I don't think you should be even thinking about this question like that much. But who do you think killed Laura Palmer? Give me the exact reasons and details why.
I think, if we're being 100%, I think the person that killed Laura Palmer is gonna be, I mean, right now, I'm thinking it's the mortician, like, legitimately, the like, mortician guy, because he's been around enough for me to notice him, but every time he's in a scene, it's like, he's very meek, he's in the background, he doesn't have a lot to add, he's usually comforting somebody, and he just, I don't know, there's, like, a sinister vibe with his character of, like, you know, he's a mortician, so he sort of symbolizes death, but also, like, not thinking too hard about it. He's also just, like, there in all these scenes where they're uncovering the body and stuff, and that's, like, kind of sus. You know, I know that's his job, but it's...
for you, the suspicious part is the framing of the show of how he's in scenes, but not pointed out.
There's like barely any scenes where it's about him, except for maybe I think he answers the door. He's the one who talks to Bobby. I think. I don't even know if that's true.
So. I think he's Donna's dad. I kind of forget. Some of these old guys look at it. I know I gave the show like a big compliment about like, oh man, none of these characters blend together. But to be honest, he's like not a major character. I'd say all the major characters, and there are a lot, don't blend together. But minor characters like that, to me, just I don't remember them sometimes.
Yeah, so that's my current leading my suspect on my suspect door. Jesus,
I'm so curious on how that will change.
On my suspect wall, it is currently Mortician, but like I said, I'm not gonna dwell on it. I'm just gonna take my context cues and let's see where my brain leads me.
Enjoy the ride, enjoy the coffee and the cherry pie.
Oh yeah, I'm here for the visuals,
you know what?
Baby.
Hey, can you bring out that the little walkie-talkie, or not a walkie-talkie, a tape recorder? I think it's time to make a report.
Oh, you want to make a report? All right.
Yeah, I want to make a report.
Let's make a report.
You know what, Mars? You take it.
Diane, these bitches are crazy.
These bitches are crazy.